I mean, one of the things that really captured me when I first talked to the board here was, 'cause I was in a pretty secure position in Fort Lauderdale. Things were pretty nice, and I asked the board the direct question about, is this just about these buildings? And one of them stopped me and said, you need to understand this is about Dallas. I mean, even from the very start and at the board level, the board understands that this is part of a bigger story that we're trying to tell. It's part of a comprehensive effort that, it's the Trinity River Project is part of it. Attracting international business is part of it. I mean, all of these things fit together, bringing more housing and better transit. No one thing defines a great city, but if you don't have those things, it's kind of like people always talk about the arts like the frosting on the cake. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I did this with the Chamber of Commerce one time. I was trying to make the point, so I brought out 2 cakes, and the first one had the one with frosting on, and I brought out the other one, and it was like, okay, who's going to buy this one? And it's not that the frosting, makes the cake, but without it, you don't have one. Mm-hmm. Imagine a wedding cake without the decorations. It's just a lump sitting there, and it's kind of like that with, I think, with cities that, maybe we are the frosting on the cake, but you know what? The cake isn't going to sell unless it has frosting on it. So we're not claiming that we're the substance. We're not claiming that the city, that we are the one thing that's going to make it work. But you better have high-quality arts if you are going to be a world-class city and be on the world-class stage. I mean, it's what the businesses expect. It's what gets you attention. I mean, Maria's day is spent talking with international publications around the world, and they're not calling because they heard that, that the stock price, went up by this corporation by 3 cents. That's covered in the business press. That's corporate news. It doesn't say anything about the city, and the arts become sort of a shorthand way of communicating that this is a great destination. It's New Orleans and stuff like that. You might go there for certain things, or it's South Carolina with the Splotto Festival. Splotto Festival happens for the short period, but people think of Charleston as a cool place because, well, why is it cool? Well, the place has a Splotto Festival, right? Even though 90% of the year they don't have the Splotto Festival, it shapes the image of the city, and that's kind of what we do. We help shape the image. We're under no illusions that planefuls of people are going to come flying to Dallas for every performance that we have. But planefuls of people will come to Dallas because we've been put into their consciousness because of a performance that was here. Whether it's the opera, whether it's the theater center, whether it's touring stuff where we are on the map for the great artists that suddenly say, I got to play these buildings. So that will change it.
That's neat too. Just thinking about business. Business isn't local anymore. If Blockbuster, something happens with them, it's not a Dallas story. It's a story. So the arts is something that sort of anchors it down to a place.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that in this day and age when business isn't local anymore, you're right about AT&T. AT&T's right here in the city. Right. One of the biggest corporate. Exxon is right here. I mean, you go down the list. Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like those exist off in sort of their own. And you see a lot of corporate headquarters nowadays where, corporate headquarters that used to have thousands of people now might have hundreds of people, and the company just exists out there around the world. Mm-hmm. So what is it that makes a city right now? And that's one of the reasons why people make the arguments for sports. It's Cleveland. Well, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we got the Browns, and we got LeBron James, and that suddenly, if you ask most people, what do you know about Cleveland?
Yeah, those are.
If it wasn't for those kind of things, Cleveland wouldn't even appear on anyone's radar screen. And if you ask them, Progressive Insurance, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I forgot that the guys that own Progressive Insurance are from Cleveland and stuff like that. But we see the ads all the time, but you don't think Cleveland with it. But you mentioned Cleveland Orchestra, you mentioned the sports teams, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
Now suddenly it has an image. Mm-hmm. So that's the role we play. Yeah, you hit it.